For posting articles to www.InsideGolf.ca. The first one we're going to have here is the steps A and B in your documents that you should have that go with this. A being the software that are required for posting articles, and B are the B being the initial website addresses that you need to have open in order to post. So the first one we're going to talk about are the softwares that are required, and they are as follows. You need to have a browser. We use Safari. Most will work. If there's any issues with them, you just make sure your web version of your web browser is up to date, and they generally all will work for working with all the software, all of the front end and the back end of our website. The second one you're going to need is you need an email software. And the email software is basically just so that you can be sure that you are getting the emails that we're sending, because the articles to be posted will come to you as emails. So there we go. That takes care of the softwares that you need. It is preferable that you have Photoshop as well. Initially, if you are starting to do article posting, you won't be required to do the photo editing. That will come later, and either you need Photoshop for that, or you will need to use a online software by going to a website called Pixlr.com. That's Pixlr.com, and that's actually the same as Photoshop, but it's just you do it on the web. So that takes care of point A, step A. Step B is the initial website addresses to be opened. And so we go back over to Safari or your whatever web browser you're using, and the first one you're going to want to have open, I'm just going to show you here, is InsideGolf.ca. That's the front end of our website. And just to quickly run through some of the elements that you see on here, that's called our breaking news. That's one item that we have. This is our main menu bar, and you can see that each one of these is called a section, and these are the major menu items are the sections. Down here is what we call our left-hand menu bar, which is sort of the categories within a section. So when we're in the National Home section, which I'll just click to refresh here, you'll see we have all of these different categories where articles can appear. Some of them are just on their own, what's new, what's hot. Some of them have subcategories like the regular columns. You can see here that we have actually a whole number of different regular columns that all can have articles posted to them. That sort of covers that. The next one that we have is the back end of the website, and this is InsideGolf.ca /administrator, and the rest of it you can automatically load. So if you just type /administrator, and what this is, I'm going to load this again, just so we can run through what you should do. If you type this in, it's going to come up and ask you for a username, which you should have, and a password that you should have, and you just click login. And then you're going to go to click on the article manager, which is one of the ways that you can view the content that's posted to the back end of Inside Golf. And when that comes up, you can see here it's a series of it's a list of the articles, their status in terms of whether they're published. The front page is actually whether they're in that breaking news module in the front. I'll go back and show you that for a second. That's the breaking news module. If this has a check mark, this column here, that means that they're going to show up there. We actually don't we actually sort our articles by date. So we see the most recent one. I just click this little date button over here on the right, the blue one. That actually sorts the articles so that you see them in the order that most recent article. So the most recent article that we've got here is McDowell takes Tiger's tourney. And just to run through, that's the title of the article. It's got a check mark here, so it's being published. It's got a check mark here, which means that it is actually going to be, it's showing up in that breaking news top right module on the front end of the website. Its location, it's what we term its primary location, which is where it's put first when it's first posted to the website. It's in the national section under the Tiger Watch. So we go back over here, you see we are in the national home, that's called the national section, and you see here if we go Tiger Watch, if we click on that, lo and behold, the first article that appears here is McDowell takes Tiger's tourney. So the article that we saw on the back end, McDowell takes Tiger's tourney, in the national section, in the Tiger Watch category, that's where it is. So that sort of covers that initially. The next one, web address you need to have open, and notice I have all these opens in a tab in the same file. Okay, that's a good way to do this, and I'll tell you why in a second. So here's the next one we've got, which is InsideGolf.ca, and if you type in newsletter, it actually just does the same thing. I'll just do that just to show you. Newsletter. It actually takes you to what is our newsletter that we send out to people who are subscribers. And you can see at the top story here is the same thing as this is McDowell takes Tiger's tourney. If we go back to the back end of the website, you'll see here that we have 2 copies of the McDowell takes Tiger's tourney. The first one is the one that was on the national section in the Tiger Watch. The second one is in the newsletter in the top story section of the newsletter. So back over here to our newsletter version. There's the top stories who are in the newsletter. There's McDowell. So the way that actually happens is we take once an article is signed off, then we copy it, which means just duplicate the article, and then change its location. So basically what happened here was this article was created, it was okay to print, and then it was copied, and then put in the location of being in the newsletter for Western Canada. The next software that we have open is not one that you really need to have at this point. When you're first initially doing this, you're just you will only be responsible for posting an article. You're not responsible for really much else. But when the MailChimp is actually a software for where all of our newsletter subscribers are based, and this is how we send the newsletter out. This newsletter here is sent out to them using this software MailChimp. The final one that you do want to open is bit.ly.com. We do use that. Basically what it is when you take a long URL address. I mean, if you look at this, go back to the front end of the website, you can see here this is a very long URL address. If I took this and copied it and took it back over to Bitly, I could then paste it in here to make it much shorter. So it's easy to it's cleaner. It looks better. It's also obviously takes up a lot less room when you're posting to Twitter as well, which obviously is always important. When you only have 140 characters, you don't want to use them all on a web address. So that sort of covers the things that we want to talk about in the first 2 steps, A and B. One thing I do say here is that when you get all of these loaded for the first time, you do want to create a bookmark for these 5 tabs, okay? However you do that in whatever browser you're using. And that way you just basically, in my case here, if I click this, it will if I say I have Safari closed and I create a new window and I just click IG posting, all 5 of these web addresses that I need are opened automatically. You definitely want to set that up. If you have any confusion about how to do that, feel free to ask. That completes the first tutorial. The next one we will do is how to both receive and review an article that comes to you for posting via email.